Hey, med spa owners. My name is Ricky Shockley. I've been consulting and working with med spas for over a decade. I believe we've got some of the most effective strategies in the market when it comes to advertising med spa services. And today we're going to be talking about our exact strategy blueprint for how to get more Botox clients with better ad strategies. So many of you are already running ads to try to attract Botox clients on Facebook, Instagram, and Google. And we're going to show you how to optimize for better ads performance today with specific strategies and tactics that we're using for our clients right now. So, the first thing is you have to understand that inefficiencies in your strategies could be costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in lost revenue. I know that sounds hyperbolic, so I want to actually explain that here in a second. I'm going to show you the math. And how inefficiencies. So many of you are checking this box. We're already running ads. It's probably okay. Nothing to worry about. You've just mentally checked the box that you are running ads to try to attract Botox clients. Or this could be true with other services. I'm going to show you, though, how inefficiencies can be a massive problem in terms of cost effectiveness and ROI. We're going to talk about the three most effective ways to attract Botox clients other than word of mouth referrals, which are Facebook and Instagram ads, Google ads, and organic search slash SEO. I know we have TikTok ads and organic social and all other places. I would still say that those three in that order are probably the best way to attract new Botox clients efficiently and effectively. I'm going to show you our top performing meta ad strategies. We're going to do a walkthrough with principles for success, offer types, offer framing, ad copy, graphics. I'm going to show you our entire philosophy in detail. Google ads, where I see people going wrong. Can you even advertise Botox on Google ads? You can. So if you're not doing that, or you didn't already know that, or you're running into issues, we'll solve that problem. If you already have campaigns running, hopefully we can give you some ideas for how to improve performance and just audit this at a high level as a business owner. You're going to get a lot of confidence if you know where to look to troubleshoot for improvement in performance. You're going to gain a lot of confidence in your ability to oversee your marketing team. We're also going to do a quick SEO walkthrough, some checklist items, make sure you're not missing anything to increase the chances that you're showing up if people are searching on Google, that they're finding you or seeing your business organically in search. And again, offer framing and specific offer types that we find work best. So let me real quick start with the cost of inefficiencies. So I've got an example here on the screen. This is using our ROI calculator. I have a whole video on this. If you go to our YouTube channel, there's an entire video on here. Comment below if you have any trouble finding that, but I have a whole video on this ROI calculator. But let's just use this example to illustrate a point. If you're paying $125 to attract a Botox client who spends $400 on the initial visit, and all of these other numbers are true just to kind of forecast consistently, what you see here is over 24 months, this campaign at $4,000 a month in ad spend has generated $767,000 in projected total revenue over 24 months. If you pay $200 in customer acquisition cost, that number is cut all the way down to $479,000. So you are quite literally leaving $300,000 in revenue on the table over 24 months by this seemingly small difference in customer acquisition cost. Some of you don't even know what your customer acquisition cost is, which I would argue is a problem. But if you go from paying $200 to acquire a Botox client to 125, all things equal, using our ROI calculator, that's going to project to $300,000 difference in revenue collected in 24 months. So that's what I mean by inefficiencies. I'm going to show you the strategies that we use to achieve results for our clients. If you want a copy of that ROI calculator, you don't want to look for that video, you can also just email us support@medspamagicmarketing.com, support@medspamagicmarketing.com, and just put ROI calculator in the subject line. We'll make you your own free copy of that tool, along with a tutorial of how to use it to project your marketing investment with confidence. So remember, as you're advertising for a service like Botox, that growth is compounding. When you put money in early on, you have cost of goods, you have cost of customer acquisition, and your initial visit revenues are maybe $400 or $500. So there is not enormous margin when you pay to advertise Botox to get a new client through the door on the first visit. And I do see a disconnect with many med spa owners, especially smaller practices, that think that they start advertising, they're all of a sudden going to have this massive boost in profitability the first month they do that. That is not the reality of advertising a recurring a service that relies on recurring revenue and retention. So on the screen, for those of you that are listening in audio format, I have charted a real compound growth calculator from one of our clients that they don't spend very much money. That's a whole other issue, which I get to in some of our other content. But you can see the line between ad spend and revenue generated. They're touching early on. And as time goes on, the revenue generated starts to get further and further and further away from the ad spend line, because growth is compounding when you're trying to build based on recurring revenue services. So just remember that as you get into this. So to set a standard for what we should be trying to accomplish in terms of stats early on with Botox ads, I think one of our friends at Allergan said this, and I think this is a really good baseline for how to measure your marketing investment and to feel confident that your marketing investment is going to create profitability without hurting cash flow in the short term. And the simple equation we're going to look at is, how do we achieve at least a break even or better after we account for our cost to acquire a customer, which is our ad spend. So if I had to spend $125 to acquire that client, we're going to factor that cost in plus our cost of goods. So to use this an example here, if your cost of customer acquisition is $200 and your cost of goods sold is 35%, and your average initial visit is $400, then this is how the math breaks out. You've got your $400 initial visit, but 140 of those dollars were cost of goods. So take that off the plate. We now only have $260 left over in gross margin on the initial visit. So now we're going to take our gross margin after cost of goods. Pause and rewind if this is getting too complicated, especially in audio format. But you have $260 after cost of goods, but you also had $200 in cost of customer acquisition. So to get that client through the door, you had to spend $200 on ads. What's left over in that example is $60, $60 in the positive direction. So still at a $200 customer acquisition cost, this is probably going to be a very profitable campaign long-term. Just know that you're not creating massive margin upfront in terms of profitability. And the more you spend, as long as that number is positive, you're going to offset your fixed costs. So if you're paying an agency retainer, all the other fixed costs you have with staffing, they are offset easier and more substantially if you spend more money. So if you can ensure you have better than break even after cost of goods and customer acquisition costs, then you can scale this as aggressively as you want, knowing that it's creating at least some increment in terms of positive short-term cash flow, and that any recurring revenue, second, third, fourth visit and beyond, are creating substantial compounding ROI. So I think that's a really good framework for, like, if you had to boil this down to a very simple framework for how can I feel confident my ads are doing what I want them to do. Great way to understand that and to measure success at a baseline level. So in terms of strategies, we talked about 3 different places to attract Botox clients that we find most effective. In order, Meta ads is going to be number 1. So Facebook and Instagram ads we find to be the most cost-effective way to generate a new client for Botox. Google ads would be number 2. SEO would be number 3. So let's jump into Meta ads to start. So one of the first things we run into is offer framing questions. There are so many different things that we can do. We know we want to attract a new Botox client, but I don't know what my offer should be. Should it just be a free consult? Should I use the unit price in my ad if I'm running a discount? Should I even run a discount? Should I run a bundled price? If I do, should it be 10, 20, or 40 units? If I do buy X, so like buy 40, get 20 free, would that be effective? Should I just do a dollar amount off, 50, 75, $100 off? There are a lot of different ways that you can frame this. But what we find to simplify this, so you don't go down 97 rabbit holes, if I had to simplify this and pick one of these options, the thing that we found to be most successful is a 20 unit bundle. So the bundled price would be my preference if I had to pick one of these. So what we typically do is 20 units at $179 or less as a new patient offer. So this is meant to incentivize people who have never been to your practice before to choose you for that first Botox appointment when they have a lot of other options. They probably have a lot of other reputable practices that offer Botox. So if we can put forward a very attractive new patient special offer, we increase the odds that we break the tie and we win those people over for the first visit. And then after that, we're trying to shape perception through experience. If I want to be someone's trusted med spa, the best way to do that is to get them to do business with me in the first place. You can't have a favorite restaurant you've never eaten at. You can't have a favorite med spa if you've never had service there. So you want to find something that is attractive, is a low barrier to entry at a pretty low cost price point for Botox. And to simplify this, if I had to pick, it would be the 20 unit bundle at a price point of $179 or less. So why $179? So if you go too extreme with the discount, I would argue that there is a tipping point where the trade-off of the client quality reaches a breaking point potentially. So first of all, if we go back, we need to cover our cost of goods and customer acquisition costs. So we do have a limit for how low we can go here if we want to at least break even. But we do know that the lower we go with this offer, the more attractive the offer, the better the response rate. We have a client that went from a $220 or so customer acquisition cost to a customer acquisition cost of about $100. So they cut their acquisition cost in by more than half by just changing their offer from the 179 to the 169 price point. That seems almost too hard to believe. And I always talk to our team about this. I'm like, that can't really be the only reason. But we've had multiple instances where that has been the case. Simply taking a $10 or $20 difference in the offer price point has increased the response rate enough to offset the customer acquisition cost by a significant degree. And keep in mind, you're paying for this on either side of the equation. You're either paying customer acquisition cost or discount. So you're trying to find the most profitable breaking point that gives you the highest number of at-bats for new patients. So if I had to boil it down, that would be the lane that I would go as a 20 unit bundle to simplify this for you. But just know all of those other offer types can work if you understand this basic framework, which is as the attractiveness of your offer goes up, your customer acquisition cost goes down, and vice versa. So if we want to increase the response rate from our ads, one of the easiest things we can do is just up the ante on the offer attractiveness. So unit price in our experience doesn't work as well as a bundled price, but it probably does work really well if you go down to something crazy like $6 or $7 a unit. A free consult is inherently less attractive of an offer, so you're going to pay more in customer acquisition cost. If you do buy 40 units, get 20 free, that is a higher price point. It's going to be more expensive. So it's inherently a less attractive offer at a higher ticket. It's going to have a lower conversion rate and a higher customer acquisition cost. So you can experiment with all of these things. I don't think there's a black and white right or wrong. Otherwise, everybody would be doing the same thing. But I think you have to understand it on a sliding scale that as the offer attractiveness increases, we lower our customer acquisition cost and vice versa. But again, if I had to boil it down, the 20 unit bundle is my preferred offer, and we've tested that quite a bit, had a really good track record of consistent results. So hopefully that gives you a direction. If you're running unit price offers and you're struggling, you're running dollar amount off, that maybe that gives you a way to shift your focus a little bit and to dial in a more attractive offer. Again, going back to the fact that your offer attractiveness is going to determine results. Our friend at Allergan, he actually tested this for a client where they did 3 different offer types at 50 off, 75, or 100 off. And it was more financially lucrative to do the $100 off option because it lowered customer acquisition cost in a way that offset the discount amount substantially. So they saw more patients with better profitability by actually having a more aggressive offer when they tested that. So again, keep in mind, all of them can work. Dial up the attractiveness of your offer if you're struggling to produce good results. So let's jump to the tactics here. So if I'm going to present this offer, we're going to do a 20 unit bundle. What is the asset that I'm advertising on Meta? Am I using a video? Am I using a graphic? Again, if you find something that works better than this, share it in the comments below. We're excited to hear about it. I think there are plenty of ways that video can work. I saw somebody a few weeks ago that was in Miami doing a Latibo ad, and I thought their video ad was phenomenal. Had a really good hook, captured your attention instantly. It was really intriguing. And so all of this can work. Context matters. But I'm trying to, for example's sake, simplify this to the things that we know work over and over again to provide a really consistent, solid result. So we use static images a lot of times. And one of the reasons that even if I use video, I like to embed the video inside of a static image framework, a static image being just a graphic, something that's not moving, is because we can quickly capture the user's attention in the feed when they're scrolling past our ad. So if somebody's been thinking about Botox, they're maybe getting it done, they're looking for a new injector, they just moved to town, we need the offer and the service to stand out immediately so they pause long enough to even look at what the rest of the ad contains. So here are tips for success if we're going to use a static image framework. Number one is I want a picture of the owner or injector on the ad. I would say roughly 8 or 9 out of 10 times, these ads outperform our stock model photos. We do still test stock and model photos because every once in a while we get one that outperforms the staff photo, but more often than not, an authentic photo of the owner or injector is going to outperform. So I've been reading this book, Cashvertising, right here. I've got it on my desk by Drew Eric Whitman. It's on my desk, so I've been referencing a lot lately. And he talks about even this is prior to the social media age. He was talking about print advertising. I think this book was written in 2008 or maybe even earlier. And he was talking about the psychology behind a picture of a person in an ad that's making eye contact with the camera. Think about this. You're walking down the aisle at the grocery store. If you make eye contact with someone that you walk past, you're more likely to remember that interaction, and it's more likely to grab your attention. If you're walking down the aisle and you're just staring at the side of someone's head, it doesn't have that same ability to connect and capture your attention. So owner or injector in the picture, staring at the camera, professional style photo, as you see on my screen. I want the offer information clear and large. So if I've got, 20 units, 189, but then Botox is small, I don't even know what this ad is about. I just know it's $189 something. So I would make sure that the service name, Botox, and the price/offer are really, really large and prominent on the graphic. We want to include reputation and location information on the ad. So you can see at the bottom right on the one on my screen, we have a little pin drop that shows that this practice is located in Charleston, North Carolina, or Charlotte, North Carolina, and that they have a perfect 5-star rating on Google. So the purchase matrix is made up of 3 buckets: reputation, price, and convenience. I've checked all 3 of those boxes in my ad graphic here. We've got the offer information, we've got the location information, and a reputation note all on the graphic. This episode is brought to you by MedSpa Magic Marketing, my agency. We help med spas and aesthetics practices grow with more effective marketing strategies. And I know that's a vague phrase, right? It's a vague claim. So I have an offer for you. I offer this to any new prospects. If you're interested in exploring another marketing option, a new agency, or just getting into Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads for the first time, I'd love to show you why we're different, what we're doing for clients. And we can do that via a 1.5-hour planning session where I'll outline a specific marketing plan, and I'll give you all of the blueprints that we would implement if we were to do business together. Now, you can take that, use that on your own, hire someone else to help you execute it, or work with us. We really don't hold anything back on that strategy call. And I think you'll have a lot of confidence in how you manage your marketing investment moving forward, understanding some of the nuances that can help you implement more effective marketing strategies for your business. So if you want to do that, you can go to medspamagicmarketing.com. Moving to the ad copy. So this is the text that's going to accompany your ads. Hopefully this gives you a way to revisit your existing ad copy to test for some better performance. So we're going to go through a checklist here. Number 1 is the core purchase drivers need to be at the top of the ad, in our opinion. So this is offer, reputation, location. Same thing we talked about on the graphic. I want these at the forefront of the ad, top of the copy. So 20 units, 179. We're rated a perfect 5 stars on Google, located in Charlotte, North Carolina. If we know those are the 3 things that influence the purchase decision: reputation, location, and price, I want to hit those at the forefront of my marketing message and my ad copy. Next, I want to build emotional connection. So the reason I say next and we don't stop after the first point is there's a lot of research that shows that long ad copy outperforms. Even if you had a version of short ad copy, what you can do when you build long ad copy is take whatever would have been the short version, put that at the top of the ad, and then the rest of the ad will elaborate and give people that need more information to convert the information they need to feel comfortable. So that's why we have that other information at the top. But next, we're going to build emotional connection. So this is where I would incorporate a compelling backstory on the business, the injector, the founder, why we exist, what we believe, how we think about our patients and our treatment plans. Get people excited about doing business with you. So some sort of a short, authentic origin story is really, really awesome. You can incorporate social proof throughout that origin story, how long you've been in business, your education, things like that. And I would recommend trying to keep that to probably a few sentences. So let's say 3 to 5 sentences if I were kind of ballparking an estimate there. The next thing, number 3, would be to introduce your differentiator. I'm going to give credit. I always hate when people find an idea and they present it like their own. We adopted this idea from one of our awesome clients. We have a client in Danvers, Massachusetts, Roddy Med Spa. really, we love them. We've had a really good relationship with a long time with them for a long time, Stephen and Renata. And one of the things that they do, we had Renata on the podcast talking about client retention in the consult. They have a specific protocol that guides their treatment plans. So this is an amazing way to differentiate, to stand out, and also to ensure that you're providing consistent treatment across providers so you can create more stickiness with the med spa entity instead of just stickiness with the individual provider. So come up with a signature protocol or methodology that guides your treatment and talk about what that is in your ad. I really love that idea. So major kudos to Stephen and Renata for that one. Number 4, give clear next steps. What is going to happen? What do we want you to do now? And what's going to happen next? So tap, get offer below. And then next, you'll be prompted to schedule your online appointment, or someone from our team will reach out about booking, right? Just be really clear with what we're asking you to do to claim this deal and what's going to happen next. Last thing here, targeting notes. When you're targeting your ads on Facebook and Instagram, I see that people make the mistake of just drawing a giant circle around the business. The reality is most businesses, you have different parts of town that you engage with differently. So in this example, this is our client. They have clients that drive from northwest further than they're going to drive from southeast or northeast. So the targeting bubbles expand more toward the west and northwest, and they've got a very distinct cutoff line on the east, northeast, and south. So be granular and specific with your targeting bubbles using the 80-20 rule. If you have people coming from outside of the area too frequently, start to draw those in as exclusions as well. All right, jumping to Google Ads. First question I get, can I even run ads for Botox? A lot of people think they can't run ads for Botox. You can run Google Ads for Botox. So if you need help and some direction on that, you have to contact your people at Allergan. If I've heard people have varying degrees of success with like their product reps. So if you have any issue and you want to be pointed in the right direction, just email us. Again, support@medspamagicmarketing.com and just put Botox ads approval in the subject line. With Google Ads, once you're approved to run ads for Botox through Allergan, we have to understand that context matters. When people see your ad on Google, they're seeing it alongside other ads for the same service. So going back to the purchase matrix, price, convenience, reputation, we want to optimize for those things in our ad copy, in our titles, and in our descriptions as much as possible. And we want to get people excited about doing business with us. And we want to get them excited about the offer, remind them that we're close and we're local. So really good example, aside from Botox here, that I saw recently. We have a client that's in the Northwest and they're a franchisee, and they have a specific guideline for the types of offers they can promote. And their laser hair promo that they were promoting was buy 4, get 2 free, which when you build that in the offer text is 33% off, or buy 4, get 2 free. If you look at the accompanying ads that were showing up in the search results, their competitors had ads that said 50, 60, 70% off. So if all I'm looking at is offer discount price, I'm going to lose in that part of the equation. So you need to either create a different offer in kind. So for them, we adopted a strategy which was essentially, we're just doing something completely different so people don't compare this apples to apples. And we're going to try to make it even more attractive. So instead of a percentage off, it was a consult plus first session free, try before you buy. Different offer in kind. But just know, if it is about price, you have to be price competitive. If you're not giving people a compelling reason to choose to click your listing over the others, you're going to lose out. So do some research, figure out what's popping up in the search results, what other people are doing, and try to make sure that your offers are competitive to attract new patients, because context does matter even more in the Google Ads space. So again, here's just an example kind of zoomed in of what those ads might look like. Make sure that you fill in your brand assets, you add images, you add the proper extensions for like an incoming phone call, because the prettier these things look and the more space they take up, the better chance you're going to attract that click. So make sure that you add as many of those bells and whistles as you can while still optimizing the copy and the headlines for the previously mentioned items. And again, remember that simple equation. Cost of customer acquisition goes down when the attractiveness of your offer goes up. With Google Ads, one of the places I see people really going sideways is their keyword list. So a lot of people say they're running Google Ads and they're not really working, or they're not sure, they have no confidence in the result. This is one of the places where performance tends to really go sideways. This is an absolute make or break. So what I recommend is using phrase and exact match keywords, not broad match. So if you log into your ads portal and you see brackets or quotes, that's probably a good sign. If you just see the keyword by itself, that's broad match. You give Google way too much leeway with the types of phrases and search queries that they can show your ad for. Great example of this, when we run laser hair ads on Google, if you use broad match, we've seen all sorts of crazy stuff pop up. One of the things that we saw was Brazilian waxing and at-home waxing kits showing up for a laser hair removal ad. I don't think that's a good use of our ad dollars, when we could have spent that on someone that's searching for laser hair removal specifically. So I would recommend phrase and exact match keyword types when you build those, so the quotes or the brackets, to maintain more control. You want a robust negative starter list of keywords. So a whole list of all of your competitors, people that are looking for like free service, anything that would be a red flag. People maybe just looking for a Groupon specifically. Maybe we don't want to waste our ad dollars on people that were actively searching for a Groupon, for example. So a good negative keyword list out of the gate. Negate people that are searching for other cities, other areas. We do have a free list that we give away. So again, another one of the call to actions here. If you want this, support at medspamagicmarketing.com is the email, and just do negative keyword list in the subject line. We'll get that to you. You also want to make sure your company or someone on your team is managing your negatives weekly. So in the dashboard of Google Ads, there's something called the search or keyword insights or search terms under the insights tab. And that's where you can actually look at all the queries that actually generated clicks or views from your ad. And you can start to build on your negative keyword list. So if anything pops through that's junk that we don't actually want to be showing up for, we can build that and improve our ads even more and more and more as the weeks go on. So we generally like to think of Google Ads as low funnel, high intent, people that are at the provider selection phase. So I want people that are specifically looking for Botox in Denver, Colorado, not people that are looking for my competitor by name, not people that are looking for a Groupon specifically, not people that are looking at for generic terms like wrinkle treatments or wrinkle creams or wrinkle cream alternatives. I want people that have already decided they want Botox. They're just trying to figure out where they're going to go. So from there, when people click your Google ad, they go to a destination page. I don't recommend sending this to the main website for several reasons. I recommend an isolated, standalone landing page that's optimized with this checklist of items. So again, offer, reputation, and location information up front, a clear call to action throughout. Here's what to do. Here's what happens next. Authentic images and photos of your staff, your team, and your office. Include that same compelling backstory and pitch as to why we should be your new med spa home. This is the place hopefully you're going to feel comfortable and confident coming for months and years to come. Give detailed info on the service offering and the treatments. So I want to show an example of a well-structured Google Ads landing page. So this is an example here where we talk about the offer at the forefront. We've got authentic images. We've got location information. We've got some nice marketing language that hopefully makes the user feel comfortable that this is a trusted, reputable practice. Your destination boutique med spa in Davidson, North Carolina. Claim our limited time Botox special offer, new patients only. Again, most of these I would recommend running for new patients only. We're rated a perfect 5 stars on Google. Here's more information on the service. Here's why clients choose us. Here's information on our team. Clear call to action button throughout with here's what we're asking you to do and here's what's going to happen next. So I think that's a great structure for how to build your Google Ads landing pages. So if you're running ads on Facebook, Instagram, or Google, you are going to need to be elite with your follow-up process and your measurement. I really recommend having some form of marketing automation in place. So this is where a lead comes in and you're pre-programming all of these touch points, text messages, emails, pre-recorded voicemail drops, so that you're not wasting your time conversing and chasing down cold leads. It's not even conversing. You're just constantly reaching out to people that weren't serious about booking in the first place. I only want my team having conversations with prospects who are serious about taking the next step. Speed to lead is critical. So you want to make sure that there's a really, really fast touch point once the lead comes in. I would say really within 5 minutes, you want some sort of things, just as a very general rule. You'll hear that a lot. In those automation drips and that follow-up, we want to build on the story to make it compelling for people to get over the finish line. So if people that filled out that form are at a 5 out of 10 in their intent to purchase, How do we get them to a 7 or an 8 so that they actually pull the trigger and schedule that appointment? It's going to be sending them social proof, a link to our Google reviews, links to Instagram to follow us on social media, before and afters, a welcome video. And then remember, in those drips and in this sequence of follow up, make sure that you're asking for the appointment. Hey, we've got some availability next week. We'd love to get you on the schedule. Is there something that might work next Thursday? We do this for about 3 weeks before we write them off. So a 3-week follow-up process for any new leads. If you don't have this automated, at least pan it out in a spreadsheet, but I really recommend some version of art marketing automation when you're spending money to attract leads, definitely from Facebook and Instagram. Most of those leads are not going to convert. 80 to 90% of those leads are not going to convert. So you don't want to waste your team's time and energy chasing around non-serious leads. Automating, I really think, is an absolute necessity. We use Go High Level for the automation. You can do this with a multitude of tools. So the next thing is measurement is also critical. If we don't know our numbers, we don't know how much it costs to acquire a customer, we don't know our rebooking and retention rate, then we can't have confidence that our marketing is doing what we want it to do. We need to understand that our marketing is factually an investment and not an expense, and that it's an investment that's paying an exponential return. So we set up systems that integrate with most EMRs in our Go High Level dashboard. But again, even if you have to do this in a spreadsheet, it is worth doing to have the confidence that your marketing is doing what you want it to do, and that you can grow and scale on autopilot if you know these numbers. The last thing here, if we want to get more Botox clients, would be just making sure that we're not missing anything on the SEO side. So here's the checklist I would go through to make sure you're not missing anything on the SEO side. So when I say SEO, for those who aren't familiar, that's search engine optimization. How do we show up more frequently when people are actively searching for our service outside of the ad space? So either in the maps results or the blue link normal search results on Google. Here's the checklist I go through. 1, make sure that you have a dedicated page for Botox. So medspa.com/Botox, not neuromodulators where Botox is just one little line embedded in a giant page about neuromodulators, or a service list. Like, have a dedicated page all about your Botox service offering. Make sure the title and the primary heading of that page include the service name and the city that you serve. So the title of the page that's displayed to the search engines, the meta title should be Botox in Denver, Colorado, my med spa. You can get creative. You can use some modifiers in there. So if you want to try to build some additional phrases in there, you can say best Botox providers in Denver, Colorado, or new patient Botox special in Denver, Colorado, because then you're checking the box of Botox, Denver, Colorado, and you're also checking other boxes like best and specials that people might be searching for. So if you've got something that's relevant and it fits, you might want to explore some of those modifiers. And then in terms of the content of the page, one of the first things I see people missing is giving people robust information on why clients should choose to do business with you. You have to remember that on your website, if somebody got to your Botox page, they've probably already decided they want Botox. They're just trying to figure out if you're the right fit to be their new med spa home. So give a compelling reason of why they should choose to do business with you. Do give detailed information on the service, include frequently asked questions, the clear call to action and next steps again. And I really recommend, if you can, real authentic photos. If you don't have good photos, it is absolutely worth hiring a photographer to come do a photo shoot for a lot of these things. Next thing would be off-page SEO. For time's sake, that's a really long explanation. I do have a whole video that dives into our SEO strategies for off-page SEO. This is kind of like a rising tide that lifts all ships. It won't be specific for your Botox offering necessarily. So you can go, if you just look SEO for med spas in our YouTube feed, you should see this video for SEO for med spas 2025. All right, last thing here is your Google Business listing. So this is your maps listing for your business. What are the things I see people missing that are quick wins? Make sure that Botox is listed as a product on the back end of your Google Business listing. Make sure it's listed as a service, and then try to be proactive about getting people that had that service to leave a review and mention the service. Like, hey, I had Botox with Shelly. It was an amazing experience. I trust her. I come back every 3 months. I wouldn't go anywhere else for Botox. When people mention the service in their review, you're giving Google additional data that this is a place people go and trust for Botox. The last thing to remember is that review volume, recency, and your star rating matter. So just be cognizant of being proactive about building those 5-star reviews. Have a good system in place for consistently requesting and screening for those things. If you want help implementing any of this, I hope that was helpful in and of itself. My goal is to jam pack these with value. So I hope this gives you some ideas on how to improve your Botox ads, whether you're running them on Facebook, Instagram, Google, or elsewhere. And if you need any help implementing this, you can just go to our website, medspamagicmarketing.com. I offer a free consultation to kind of walk you through a detailed analysis of what we would do if we were marketing your med spa. So you can schedule that call, that no obligation call on our website, medspamagicmarketing.com. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.